So the end of the season is upon us, and these cars will be derbied way before this video is up here, but this car's in great shape. Just have to put my GoPros into it, and this car here is in not as good a shape, but for the derby, it's just about there. I just got to put a new battery into it. So a little bit of work to do on these, and they'll be good to go. So I want to start on a new project, and my teardown area doesn't have anything in it. So the plan is I'm going to do a swap that's new to me. I know it's been done. I've seen photos of it. I know people that have done it. I've talked to people that have done it. I personally haven't done it. I personally haven't seen any information on swapping it. I haven't seen anything like that. So, you guys want to know the game plan? Behind this Honda Odyssey, there's a Lumina. And the frame is kind of really bad garbage on this Lumina, and I was told that the motor runs great. He said the coil pack's got a little crappy. It's got 129,000 kilometers on it, so that's what, 85,000 miles on this thing, so it is a very low kilometer or mile motor. I want to take this motor out of this car, and I want to put it inside of this car. The reason why I'm choosing this one is because it's got a blown up motor in it. So my game plan is to put that 3100 into this. Now I'm going to try to do a little bit of extra stuff that I don't know if is going to run anywhere here in Ontario. It might have to go down to the US. I'd like to change out the rad support. That'll be one of the last things I do. I will be removing this rad support just for ease of putting in and locating. The problem with the W bodies is the motor mounts come off the top of the motor and to the rad support. And in the Camrys, they're not that strong. They're actually like tin and they're quite crap. But in W bodies, they're a hefty piece of steel. So the top motor mounts are not really useful in that application in this car. So I'm going to be trying to go to a different style of motor mount where it mounts to the frame, mounts to the frame, mounts to the sub, mounts to the sub. We'll see what I can find, but that's basically my plan, is to get that Lumina out of there. I can't really see because of the sun right there. Get that car out and get it in front of the garage so we can start stripping it and pretty much get it ready for basically just take the motor out. So Cassandra's going to start up the new Chrysler minivan. We're going to move her old minivan, then we're going to hook a chain and pull the W body out, and then we're going to push the Honda Odyssey back. Well, the wife made quick work of this. Her minivan skills are getting better. I will give her that. She's getting used to backing up. She hit this a little harder than I wanted to when my arm was on the steering wheel and I was standing beside it, but whatever, she's back. That's the one good thing about moving these vehicles so much and doing burnouts on your grass is you don't really have to ever mow anything. It just kind of dies. So minivan's put back in place. This thing's ready for scrap pretty much. The only thing left I got to do is take the roof sign off. So this vehicle will be going very shortly. But let's go take a look at this W body. So overall, this car is not that bad. The only problem is that the back end's rotted. I know that you guys are going to say that it's not that rotted, but it's already blown that seam all the way down. It's the end of the year. Don't really want to store it outside over winter. I just want to save the motor. Frame is into the transmission. But this is the reason I bought this, was for the motor. Now we're pretty much just going to go in here and start removing stuff that we don't need. Get it basically all out of our way. And we're going to start taking out the stuff I want to keep. We're going to keep the motor mounts. We're going to keep the upper rad support because I obviously can't keep that together in a single car. So the upper rad support is going to be taken out and kept. I'm going to keep the steering rack, control arms, spindles, all that fun stuff. I'd like to see to make sure this thing's not seized. Oh, my hands are too sore to do that. I have to get a socket on that crank. We're basically going to start cutting into this car and keeping everything that we want. Starting at the front and making our way back. We are probably going to cut this bumper off and throw it in the trash. Rad support over here looks a bit dinked. We might just drop sub, to be honest. It's probably just going to be easier if we drop sub. But with the whole front of the car cut away, it'll be a lot easier just to drop sub. So we'll see what I'm going to do. Not 100% sure as of yet, but we'll see. We're going to start digging into it and come up with a game plan as we go. Sometimes the best plans are thought of by the seat of your pants, right? But first things first, we're going to make sure she's not seized. And if she's not seized, we're going to continue on. So, we're about par for the course right about now. Go out. Go out. Go out. Well. Yeah, we're good. We're almost good. Well, fire's almost out. But, yeah, if it's not on fire, it's not going well, right, guys? So, it's taken me about 45 minutes. I can estimate 45 minutes. We have the upper rad support taken out and saved, but unfortunately, it's not the best. You know, it's better than the ones I had, but it's got a ding or two in it. I think it will be okay. If I'm allowed to put it in, we'll see. So I started cutting with the torch, found that it just wasn't working very well because this frame was so rusty, and then a Sawzall just went through it very quickly. You guys ask me, why do I cut my frames like this? I get that question a lot, and the simple answer is it's easy. I even went right through the subframe, front and rear, and then I couldn't get the Sawzall in at that one, so I just used the torch. But this right here was like one Sawzall blade, so it's pretty good. Like, I don't have any issues. What we're going to do now is we're going to go get my trusty John Deere lawn tractor, and we're going to pull this motor away from the frame, and then we're going to set her down onto the ground, and we'll get the minivan and shove her back into her hiding spot, and then start filling her with scrap. Some things I didn't like on W bodies. Now, this right here is probably my first time actually pulling the motor out of a W body. I didn't like the steering column. I know that they make aftermarket ones for this, but on Toyotas, this is probably the hardest part to take out is this. But in this car, it just fell apart. Like just fell apart. I could see that being an issue inside the ring. The frame has got multiple layers of steel that kind of do like a crisscrossy pattern. I imagine that and the subframe combined is what makes these cars so tough. But I don't know. I do like the spindles on, what do you call these, W bodies. They seem much stronger than a Camry spindle. And I don't know if we're going to be able to use them inside the Camrys, but I'm going to try. Maybe if it just comes down to changing the top hat or putting a Camry spring into it, or I'm not sure, but these look much tougher. We'll have to see what I can do and see what I'm able to do. I do have a plan for spindle swaps, but that means I'd have to run Toyota Camry factory spindles still, struts still, which are a large weak point on a Toyota Camry. So I don't think I can swap these control arms over very easy. They mount a lot differently than Toyota Camrys, so I think it'd be a bigger pain to swap these control arms over. A lot of you guys are going to tell me, well, why didn't you just save the sub and put this sub inside of a Camry? And I know a lot of rules. To be honest, I'm building this car with no idea where I'm going to run it. I just know that even in the US, a couple of people have showed up at shows, and because they swapped subs, they're not allowed to run. But if they just swapped the motor, they were allowed to run. So it's kind of, you got to know what you can do and can't do. And I'm not saying this car is going to be ran in the US. I'm just saying I'm trying to build it and experiment, because you don't really know until you try, right? But yeah, so motor's out, motor's on the ground. We're just going to get the lawn tractor, pull it away, And then we'll shove this W body back to its resting spot to get filled with scrap and head to the scrapyard. So let's get going. So after the bucking bronco of a John Deere lawnmower, this is why, actually this is the prime example why I don't have nice things. But anyway, motor's out, motor's a safe distance away from the car. I'm not worried about the car falling on it and causing any damage now. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to try to change that jack for a tire just like that one, and then we're just going to push her with the van. Hook a chain to her, drag her back, get all my tools off. And she's ready for scrap, but hopefully this is gonna work. Honestly, I have no idea. I want it to work. I really want it to work. So next step, like I said, get this away, get that inside. I think I need to make it a little bit lighter, but we'll see. Maybe the motor off the subframe, transmission off the subframe, but then I gotta pull spindles. I bet you if I just pulled the spindles and brakes, it'd make it much lighter. Maybe that's what I'll do. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. This side here, the ball joint's already broken, so already half the work's done. But yeah, so let's get this going, put this back in its spot, and we'll go from there.